Hi, and welcome everyone to the workshop today on how to improve your memory in 30 days or less. This is a workshop. You are not going to just sit there and listen to some webinar. You're going to have to do a little work in order to improve your memory in the next 30 days. But I guarantee it is 100% possible if you create the action plan as we go along in the worksheet, and I'll walk you through how to fill it out and to do the work. It's pretty easy work. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and jump in and get started. I want to start with the end in mind. I'm going to talk about a 7-letter word that is the core of everything I believe in when it comes to your brain health and your memory. And we'll come back to that in a minute. But this training is going to give you everything you need to fix your memory problems, and you won't have to pay for expensive memory games or buy prescription drugs. You'll get more done in less time by being more focused, and you'll make better decisions and solve problems better. You'll feel sharp, like you are 20 years younger again when your memory is back. You see, most people feel their brains aren't functioning as well as they used to or as well as they should, and they're right. Our brains start to grow from the time that we're born or before until we're 25 years old. That's a fully mature brain. Then, starting around age 35, our brains start to shrink at around 0.5% a year. Our neurons, our brain cells start to die, the blood vessels wither, and our communication highways deteriorate at this rate of 0.5% a year. Now, that doesn't sound like that much, but that's 10% brain loss by the time you're 55 years old and 20% by the time you're 75 years old. Neuroscientists can guess your age just by looking at an MRI of your brain. That's how predictable this is. And a smaller brain means poor cognitive performance. It makes you less focused and slower in solving problems or planning for the future. Eventually, it makes us slower in walking and talking and even making decisions. It's like my 76-year-old mom taking 20 minutes to decide on a menu item at a restaurant. That's brain atrophy. And it makes it much more difficult to remember names and dates or even why you walked into a room. It's like we all start out with these 8-cylinder engines, right? Some people have 12 cylinders like your Formula One cars, but the vast majority of people start out with 8. But most people these days are only operating on 4 cylinders. They're not operating anywhere near their full potential. So I want to get back to this 7-letter word that I referred to earlier and tell you a little story about a time I was at a conference and I met this kid, must have been in his early 20s, and he had just started the company and was completely worn out. He was working all night, every night, not eating correctly, not working out, not doing any of the things we know we're supposed to do. And he was fried. So I talked to him about my 7-letter word, and he just scoffed and said that you can't get anywhere in life if you follow that 7-letter word. Well, so we go to the keynote speaker at the end of the night, and it's Kevin O'Leary from the Shark Tank. Everybody know Kevin O'Leary? Say yes in the chat functionality. And if you do or don't, he's from the TV show called The Shark Tank, and they call him Mr. Wonderful in jest, right? Because he's really quite mean. And he's very aggressive, and he really doesn't care about other people's feelings. It doesn't seem like he has much empathy. So, we're going through this Kevin's speech, and it was a fabulous speech to give him credit, but he just doesn't come off as that happy of a guy. And towards the end of his speech, he put up this slide. No balance. Now, this is my 7-letter word, and he said that you can't have balance in your life if you want to get anywhere. And of course, I look over at this kid, and he just has a grin from ear to ear because that's what he was saying. He had said, when I told him about balance, he said, you can't get anywhere in life if you have balance. So all I'm going to do is ask you this. Who would you rather be more like? This guy, Kevin O'Leary, who, Mr. Wonderful, but he's really not, or like this guy. This is Richard Branson, who is a wonderful, happy man. But today I'm not going to go through, how to do your work-life balance. I think we all know that. I'm going to talk to you about how to get chemical balance in your brain. I talk a lot about my 9 pillars of brain health, but I only have time to go through about 3 today. But if you stay into the end, I'll share with you how to get the remaining 6. This training is going to give you everything you need to learn easier, recall information faster, and stop those embarrassing brain farts or senior moments or whatever you want to call them, and be more confident in making decisions. So who am I? I'm an educator in the fields of neuroscience and brain health. I've helped over 34,000 people with my memory boosting, brain enhancing formula that took 7 years to decode. And that's what we're going to go through today. So now we're going to jump into it. I want you to take out your Boost Your Memory Action Plan worksheet that you printed out or fill it out online. There's a little sticky note up on top there that has the web address to fill that out online as we go along. And because now it's time to take notes and create your action plan to improve your memory in the next 30 days or less. So the first habit that most people have that is destroying their memories is one that's very close for me right now, and that's sleep. I have a baby and he has never been a good sleeper. So we're going to go into sleep today. Most people have issues with sleep, and especially as we get older. A lot of people can't fall asleep. I hear customers tell me that they wake up and can't get back to sleep, or no matter what time they go to bed, they always wake up at 6 a.m. You see, the average person needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep. The average American gets 6. Now, there is a gene that 5% of the population has that you don't need more than 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night. If you honestly believe this is you, I really encourage you to get tested. Otherwise, you have decades of irrevocable damage. Now, there are tons of correlations with sleep and diseases. There's a study out of Johns Hopkins that showed a link between a lack of sleep under 5 hours and a buildup of a beta amyloid, which is a toxic protein that forms the plaques and causes Alzheimer's. Even worse, a study on 470,000 people, so huge, found that those that sleep 6 hours or fewer have a 48% greater risk of developing and or dying from heart disease and a 15% greater chance of stroke. So let's go through a little bit about what happens in your brain when you sleep. You can think of your brain as a city. You have your buildings and your roads that deliver the communication highways, and the different parts, your amygdala, your hippocampus, things like that are the buildings. And so when you sleep at night, the cleaning crew comes out and cleans up all the roads, picks up all the trash, fixes the potholes, gets the graffiti off the walls so that the next day when you wake up, you're feeling refreshed and those communication messages can go faster and through your brain when it's clean. But when you don't sleep, well, guess what? Over time, that trash starts to build up. Maybe a couple streets got missed last night here and there, and it's harder for those messages to travel down those pathways with all the trash. If you're not getting enough sleep, over time, your brain starts to look a little bit like San Francisco, right? It's a beautiful city, but a little dirty. And then if you have decades of this damage, it starts to look like a third world country with so much trash you can barely get by. And none of those communication messages are getting through your brain very fast. So for me, sleep is my answer to absolutely everything. I honestly never get sick. Whenever I start to feel even just a little bit of pressure, sinus pressure, whatever, I go take a nap for however long, an hour or 2, and I wake up feeling fine and I don't get sick. So even with a baby that doesn't sleep, I take naps because I have to. And I honestly haven't been sick in over 4 years because sleep is my solution to everything. So let's get into some solutions, talking about more solutions. So sleeping pills. Well, sleeping pills on a short-term basis can be helpful and they're okay. But They are addictive and they make it harder for you to fall asleep naturally. You see, our bodies produce this chemical called GABA, GABA. And this is a chemical that you wake up and you basically have none. And then it builds up throughout the day. And then when it's nighttime, it's like a stop sign that goes between the neurons in your brain that stops all the activity and you fall asleep. If you take sleeping pills, they disrupt your body's natural ability to produce GABA, and you get mental slowness, weakness, balance problems, and on and on. So let's take out our action plan here because we're going to go through some fixes. And what I want you to do on your worksheet is write down 1 to 2 of the tips that you're going to try for the next 4 nights only. And then if they aren't working for you, pick another 2 until you find what works for you and try it for the next 4 nights. Also, I want you to keep a sleep journal. So you're going to write down each night for the next 30 days when you went to bed, when you woke up, how many hours of sleep you got, and the quality of your sleep. They're now discovering that the quality is more important than the quantity. If you get a lot of disrupted sleep, like a baby waking you up, it's not good for you. So write down how many times you woke up. And what you want to see is all of your numbers, the quality and quantity, improving by using the following techniques. So let's go through your real solutions here. Good sleep starts in the day. Waking up the same time every single day is important. So is going to sleep the same time every day. What you do throughout the day is really going to have an impact on your sleep. Working out, exercising, the foods you eat, all of that are going to impact your sleep. If your job is to sit at the computer for 8 to 10 hours a day, then don't come home and watch TV or spend the evening on the phone or computer. All of this screen time gives our brains too much blue light, which has been shown to make it more difficult to fall asleep and has been shown to interrupt your circadian rhythm. So you really want to make sure that if you come home, you want to read a book or something, do a hobby, paint, knit, whatever it is, just don't have more sleep time. This is one, my dad has a problem getting to sleep at night, and he spends probably 12 hours a day on the computer, and that's why. It's really forcing him to work harder to fall asleep at night with that interruption. So the next one is actually the opposite of what you would think. It's reverse psychology. I always tell people sleep is the one thing in life where the harder you try and the harder you work at, the more likely it is you'll fail. So instead of trying to fall asleep, try to stay awake. You remember those college days where you were so tired in class trying to stay awake and you just kept falling asleep. That's this. Stare at a light, stare at your window, just anything. Just stare at it and try to stay awake. The next one is do not lie in bed. Your brain works on associations, and your bedroom and bed should only be used for sex and sleep, not lying in bed worrying. If you're in bed for 10 hours but only sleep 6, that's not a good thing. You're going to associate your bedroom and your bed with stress. So get up, don't do anything stimulating. Don't watch the news, don't read a murder mystery. Read something boring, again, knit, do something that's really, it brings you down, it's not stimulating. The next thing is you want to hide your phone, your alarm, any other stressors. Do not have them sitting on your bedside table. There's nothing worse than having your clock there. And you wake up at 1, I only have 5 hours left to sleep. Wake up at 2, I only have 4 hours left to sleep. What's happening is that's actually creating more of the stress chemical cortisol in your brain. It's going to make it harder for you to stay asleep, and it's going to make it harder for you to fall back asleep. Get rid of the clock. Put it under your bed. I actually believe you don't need an alarm clock. You will wake up when it's time if you are well rested and getting the sleep you should. But if you need it, put it under your bed, hide it out of sight, out of mind. You'll be surprised how much better you sleep when you don't have a clock sitting right next to you. The next one is cool your room. See, your body temperature naturally drops when you're asleep. So you can manipulate this process to help you fall asleep faster. So anywhere from 60 to 67 degrees. I like it cold. Even in the winter, I sleep with the window open. But make sure your hands and feet are warm. For some reason, it's much harder to fall asleep when your feet are cold. And then the next one is kind of cool, and it seems very backwards. But if you're anxious or distressed at bedtime, the best medicine may be a face full of ice cold water. When you're in a full-on state, your nervous system desperately needs to be reset to help you calm down. Submerging your face in a bowl of water triggers an involuntary phenomenon called the mammalian dive reflex, which lowers your heart rate and blood pressure. And then it's off to bed with a soothed system. Other things, of course, cut out alcohol. Alcohol, great, it helps you fall asleep, but it greatly disrupts your sleep cycles, so you wake up and can't get back to sleep. Don't drink anything 2 hours before bed. You don't want to have to get up to go to the bathroom and then not fall back asleep. A big one is to have a routine, take a bath, have some tea, read, then go to bed. When you set your clock at night to your body clock to go through this routine, it's telling your brain, okay, time to shut down, and then you can fall asleep quickly. Breathing exercises are a great way. We'll talk more about that later. And that kind of flows into our last one that you can do to fall asleep, which is meditation. And that is our second habit that will boost your brain power. So meditation, let's talk about what it does for you. It's not voodoo stuff anymore. There are over 1,800 different studies on the benefits of meditation. And so many people meditate now and have shared how it has helped their lives significantly, including mine. I could tell you great stories about how meditation has completely changed my life. So what are some benefits of meditation? Meditation creates real biological changes to the actual structure of your brain. It grows your brain. Studies show significantly increased blood flow to the brain after just 8 weeks. Specifically, researchers found the average thickness of the 50-year-old meditator's frontal cortex, prefrontal cortex actually, which is the area of your brain that's associated with higher brain functions such as thought and action. Actually, it's what makes us human. That their prefrontal cortexes after meditating were similar to that of 20-year-olds. So you can get a 20-year-old memory back. They found notable improvements in their mood, anxiety, tension, and fatigue, and even had faster response times. So how does meditation do all this? Well, meditation actually changes our brain wave states. So let's go through what our brain wave states are. Most people live in their beta state. Let's start with gamma. So gamma is this, if you've ever heard of anyone talk about flow, right? Your rock climber knows exactly where to put his hands. He's in flow. Very difficult state to get into. Some people never get there, but that's your kind of high flow state. And then we have beta and high beta, and this is where your go, your high execution, high productivity, also high stress state. This is where most of us live all the time. And then you have alpha, which is your very creative, relaxed state. This is where most of us should be all the time, and we aren't. This is where you learn really well. This is where you have really good creative ideas, is your alpha state. And then you have theta, which is that state right before you fall asleep, when you're kind of going right into sleep. That's your theta. That's where Buddhist monks try to go when they meditate. I don't even know how to tell you to get there. That's, very, very experienced meditation. And then you have delta, which is your sleep state. So we're supposed to be, in this alpha state, but most of us live in this high beta, high stressed out state. It's like you're a gazelle and you're grazing in the field and you're in this alpha state. And then all of a sudden this lion starts to chase you. And you go into this high beta state, this really stressed out state, but it serves a purpose. You need to get away from the lion in order to survive. So what it does is you get a bunch of adrenaline and cortisol, the stress chemicals, and those send all the blood and oxygen-rich blood and nutrients to the parts of your body that need it most in order to get away from the lion, to your muscles, to your legs to run faster, to your brain to think faster, and your eyes to see better and clearer. But what it does is it shuts down all the systems in your body that you don't need to get away from the lion. You don't need your immune system to get away from a lion. You don't need your nervous system to get away from a lion. And you don't need your reproductive system to get away from the lion. You've all heard of these women that are so stressed out, can't get pregnant. As soon as they stop trying, they get pregnant. It's because they're too stressed. Their reproductive system is pushed down while they're stressed. So this is what happens. But then what does a gazelle do after it gets away from the lion? It goes back to grazing in the field, back into alpha, totally fine. It's not sitting there pondering, what could I have done differently to, not have the lion chase me? It's just grazing. What we do is we focus on it and we focus on it and we go over every single moment and we obsess upon it, or we think about the next time it's going to happen, and we stay in this high beta state. So it's like being in a sprint all day, every day, and our brains just can't take it. It's like your heart. It needs to vary its paces. You need, to go up in heart rate and down in heart rate. So does your brain. You need to go between these brainwave states, not just stay in this high beta stressed out state. If you don't take a break from this high beta state, this high extreme stress state, your systems will shut down. Your reproductive system, your endocrine, your nervous, your immune system, you'll get sick. All these systems shut down. So we talked about the stress chemical cortisol. Well, what does stress do to your brain and your memory specifically? The stress chemical cortisol eats away at your brain and especially your memory. You see, your hippocampus produces a chemical that fights the cortisol. But with cortisol eating away at your hippocampus, it can't produce as much of that chemical anymore. And so it eats away more of the hippocampus, and then it still can't produce as much of the chemical to fight the cortisol, and it's just this downward spiral. So you want to be very careful with the cortisol when it comes to your memory. It also causes inflammation in your brain, which, as we've seen over and over again, inflammation is the root of most sicknesses and diseases. So how to meditate? What you want to do when you're meditating, you're learning how to control these brainwave frequencies. So you can go into alpha or stay into alpha and only go into beta when you need to. So you can go into theta and delta on command and fall asleep easy. You want to control your thoughts to control your brain. Your brain is your control center, right? It's like your cockpit. You make sure that's healthy, everything else will be healthy. So to start, you want to take slow baby steps. I have a friend in San Diego. She's the hardest working person I know. She has worked over 12 hours a day for the last, 30 years. She's a stockbroker. So very high stress job, works a ton of hours, doesn't sleep enough, maybe sleeps 5 hours a day. She's fit, she works out a lot, so that's okay, but she has this intense job, and now in her mid-50s, she's experiencing one health problem after another. And just the other day, she called me to find out, how do I get started to meditate? Because you don't just sit there and everyone has that view in their head. It's not about that. You can lie down, you can sit in a chair, it doesn't matter. What it's about is being able to focus and control your thoughts. And that's really hard for most people. You sit down and, your thoughts are all over the place. Well, I'm going to give you some resources here. There's no association. I just have found these to be very valuable for me and my customers. So what you want to do, this first book is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And it's by Dr. Joe Dispenza. It's one of the best books I've ever read on the benefits of meditation and how to meditate. There's a great meditation in the back. I actually recorded it. It's on our website for free. And it just tells you how to start. It goes through a 7 or 8 week program on how to meditate and how to start. But you don't necessarily have to read a book. Mind Valley has a lot of tools and resources, guided meditations. tons of programs. Headspace is an app. It starts you at a beginner level. You can start at any level, but it's a guided meditation. And I think their first one for a beginner is like 30 seconds. So it works you up, from beginner level to intermediate and advanced. Because what you want to do is just focus on one single thought. And if your brain starts to drift, you pull that back, and it may happen every 2 seconds. It doesn't matter, because the more you practice, then maybe it's every 5 seconds, and then every 10 seconds you have to pull it back. So focus on a thought, focus on something positive, or even just your breathing is a great way to go. So speaking of that, in your Boost Your Memory worksheet, go ahead and take that out. I want you to think about right now when you can schedule a time to meditate. It doesn't matter if it's evening or morning. For beginners, I want you to schedule 2 to 3 minutes a day for the next 30 days. Intermediate, it's 5 to 15 minutes. And for experienced or advanced, you're probably already doing it. So 20 to 30 minutes to an hour. You want to meditate every single day for the next 30 days to boost your memory. And everybody, I don't care if you're intermediate, beginner, or advanced, what I want you to do is start the meditation. And for beginners, this is all you're going to do. For 2 to 3 minutes, I want you to do what's called rhythmic breathing. So write this down in your worksheet. Schedule the time. Do that right now because you want to plan this out. And then write down rhythmic breathing. You're going to breathe in and out for the same count. So you'll breathe in for 6 counts. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to do this for 2 to 3 minutes. And it doesn't have to be 6 count. It could be 4, 5, 10, whatever's comfortable for you. The point is to breathe in and out on the same count. So write that down, find the time, put that in your worksheet, and then let's go on to the next tip to boost your memory in the next 30 days. And that is nutrition. We're going to talk about brain boosting foods and foods you should stay away from. Because your brain only weighs 2 to 5 pounds of your total body weight, but uses 20% of the calories that you eat. It is a powerful influence that affects your emotions, your personality, the quality and quantity of your memories, and even who you are as a person. You are what you eat. It comes from feeding your brain the right fuel in the right amounts to stay strong. You need that willpower to stay away from all the bad stuff and to exercise and to be sharp. So this is going to help you keep your brain from shrinking. So let's get to the very first thing. And we're going to talk about first what to stay away from altogether. And the first one is sugar. Now, fat doesn't make us fat, sugar makes us fat. There is a 1-to-1 correlation of the introduction of high fructose corn syrup in 1975, which is a concentrated form of sugar, to the obesity rate in our country, a perfect correlation. Sugar is not a stable source of energy for our brains. And we know this. We get sugar crashes and headaches after we eat a bunch of sugar. Even worse, it produces the stress chemical adrenaline, which can leave you feeling anxious and moody, exhausted, and even depressed in the aftermath. Sugar forms free radicals in your brain, and it compromises the nerve cells' ability to communicate. This can have serious repercussions in how well we remember instructions and process ideas and manage our moods. So the recommended daily amount of sugar to have every day is 40 grams. That's the recommended amount. Now, let's be clear. 100 years ago, the average amount of sugar a person ate every day was 13 grams. So even this seems high. Can anyone guess what the average American eats in a day? Anyone? Put it in the chat over there. The average American eats 153 grams of sugar a day. And our kids even more, which is disgusting for their little bodies, how they can't process it and the damage it's doing to their brains. I honestly believe 100 years from now, we're going to look back and think it's criminal what we've been giving our kids. If you're having memory problems of any kind, look at your intake of sugar. It can be one of the biggest contributing factors. Now on to more bad stuff. The next food to reduce is salt. Now, our bodies need salt to survive, but not in the amounts we're getting. Too much salt can give you memory problems, and it's in everything. They especially put it in our processed packaged foods. They have so much salt in them because the food companies, they wanted their food to last longer on the store shelves. And so they had to take the fiber out of our food. Now, I mean, you know this, our fruits have fiber in them, right? And they don't last very long. So they took out the fiber. But what happens when you take fiber out of food is that it tastes like cardboard. So in order to cover up that taste, they put in a bunch of sugar and excess salt. So that's why there's so much salt in all of our prepackaged processed foods. Buy fresh foods, period. So the recommended amount of salt, because we do need salt every single day. Our bodies need it, especially if you're working out a lot. The recommended amount is about 1,500 milligrams of salt a day. The average American is getting 3,400 milligrams of salt every single day. So now it's time to pull out your Boost Your Memory Action Plan worksheet again, and I want you to commit to eliminating one food from your diet for the next 30 days. Write it down. It can be broad stroked. You can say, I'm going to eliminate sugar, and good for you. Incredibly difficult. Almost 80% of our foods have high fructose corn syrup in them. So if you're going to eliminate sugar, that's everything from ketchups and a lot of mustards to your sodas to, of course, candies and things like that. But breads, you're going to have to eliminate. It's pretty broad stroked. If you want to be that motivated, great. If you just want to take one food, let's say fruit juice or sodas for the next 30 days, or even chips, you'll be shocked at how much better you're going to feel and probably lose weight, a lot of weight if you eliminate sugar, over the next 30 days. And your brain and memory are going to be so much more powerful. And if you're like me, you just can't have it in the house. So go get rid of it, throw it away or give it away. Out of sight, out of mind, I always say. So now let's get into the good stuff, the stuff that you need for your brain. The first one is vitamin B12. It is so needed for your brain health. If you're vegan or vegetarian, please supplement. It only comes from animal products like fish and meat and eggs. B12 helps transform the food you eat into the usable energy your body and brain need to perform. And interestingly, up to 40% of older adults have B12 deficiencies, which leads to mental fogginess and memory problems, even depression, anxiety, confusion, disorientation, hallucinations, and even schizophrenia. And eventually, long-term B12 deficiency can lead to permanent nerve and brain damage, brain atrophy, and dementia, and even Alzheimer's. So we recommend taking 500 micrograms of B12 a day in supplementing or any other form. The next nutrient you want to add to your diet is DHA. Now, this is an omega-3 fatty acid, and it helps reduce the inflammation in your brain. Again, inflammation, root of all diseases. So many researchers have found that people with behavioral problems, like children with ADHD and people suffering from Alzheimer's disease, have lower than normal DHA levels. In Gothenburg, Sweden, scientists conducted a study on over 9,000 students. They found that children who ate one more serving of fish per week, which is a great source of DHA, did 15% better than students who didn't. So I recommend you aim for 500 to 1,000 milligrams of DHA a day through your food and or supplementation. Everyone should do this unless you're eating a fillet of salmon every single day. So let's talk about supplements, because 90% of all supplements out there are complete crap. And this has been reinforced in the news. A year and a half ago, we saw all these articles in the Washington Post, the New York Times, everything that showed they took products off of, I think it was Target and Walgreens and Walmart and GNC, and 80% of the products that they took and tested off of the shelves had none of the advertised ingredients in them. They had just a bunch of, I think some of them even had sawdust in them. So we need to supplement, but we need to be very careful on how to buy supplements. And not everyone needs to supplement. And some people need a supplement for one thing and some people need a supplement for another. Everyone is different. So let's talk about how to find out what you need to supplement. I use this app. It's a free app. It's called Chronometer. Again, no association. And what this does is it tracks your food down to a micronutrient level. So twice a year, I'll go in and I will put in all my foods for a week to 2 weeks. And then I can see over the week to 2 week period what foods I'm missing, what nutrients I'm missing. And for me, for some reason, it's always the metals like copper and zinc, iron I'm missing a lot of, which is strange. But so these are things that's what I know I need to then supplement are the things that I'm missing. I don't need to supplement any vitamin C or vitamin A. I do all these green smoothies in the morning. So for me, I don't need to take those vitamins. So I don't want them in my body. The excess just gets peed out and you're wasting your money. So important to find out what you need to supplement before you go supplement. And the next thing is how to buy them, what companies to buy them from. And what you want to do is ask for what's called a certificate of analysis from the company. Now, most people don't advertise this. It's usually an internal thing, but a good company will give it to you if you ask. And what this shows is what is in the product. So if they say they have, 500 micrograms of B12, it'll show that they have 500 micrograms of B12. Now, like I said, most people won't publicize this, but you can ask for it and you should ask for it. If a company won't give it to you, move on. So you want to make sure you do your research on what's in the supplement that they're actually advertising. The next thing is the dosages. And I really want to go into this deep dive around dosages because when we talk about dosages, we talk so often around, like the doctor gives you a prescription. You're not going to get a prescription from a doctor that says, go take this and, however much you want, whenever you want. No, he's going to tell you exactly what to take and when to take it. And there are clinical trials around so many ingredients. And if there aren't, you probably shouldn't take them. So what I want you to do is go to a website called examine.com. It's like an examination that you go to the doctor's office, examine.com. And you can put in B12 and it'll tell you exactly how much you need to take on a daily basis. And you can even read the clinical studies if you want. They're all listed there if you're a nerd like I am and love to read those. But you can find out how much you need. So let's go through an example here because I'll give you the 3-minute litmus test on how to find out if a supplement is complete crap when it comes to dosages. So here's a competitor of ours. I just want to go through this quickly. We'll do it in 3 minutes or less. You'll see here that they have 50, so they have 2 capsules. A capsule can have maximum 750 milligrams. So 2 capsules would be 1,500 milligrams. That's all we have to play with. You have a house, you can't fill in any more than the house holds, right? So you can't put any more in this than it'll hold. So what I do is I look at, these ingredients and I see, all right, calcium, B12 is a microgram, so that's going to have no effect to the size. Calcium, magnesium. All right, then I go down to this proprietary blend. Now, a lot of people have problems with proprietary blends. I'll tell you the only reason most companies use them is to hide their formula from competitors. We do this as well. We have spent over $50,000 creating one product working with scientists and doctors. And we don't want our competitors to just be able to copy it. So we do a proprietary blend as well. But this is where people like to hide stuff. So let's look at the first one, Bacopa monnieri, a fantastic brain booster. You go to examine.com, it says 300 milligrams. Fine. Can I fit 300 milligrams in this 1288 gram that they have in their focus blend? Yes, I can. No problem. Next one I go to is the L-taurine. Well, that says 500 to 2,000 milligrams. All right. Already we're kind of pushing the envelope, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Go to the next one. I have gamma aminobutyric acid. And that one's 3,000 to 5,000 milligrams as the daily dosage to match the clinical trials, to support the clinical trials. Right there, boom, blew them out of the water. There's no way they have the amount of gamma in here that they need to support the clinical trials. So I can tell you right now, it's just crap. And then, we have what do they have in here? Caffeine. It's to act as a stimulant so that you feel something, because everybody has this need to feel something, which is ridiculous to me. But they put it in there so that you feel this jittery boost, like it's working. It's not working if that's all you're getting is the caffeine. So I really want to open your mind when it comes to what you buy. Don't waste your money on these junk supplements. Make sure you're buying quality. And by the way, if you are looking to get on the fast track to boosting your memory and getting rid of the damage that occurs in your brain and get rid of the brain fog, be sure to check out our Mind Boost Day. I consider it my secret weapon for anyone over 40 who notices their memory isn't as good as it used to be. Actually, one customer recently said, "My evaluation after taking it for several days is an overall feeling of good, what of a happy pep back in my step." But every minute you wait is more brain cells dying. According to the Alzheimer's Association, 1 out of 3 people will get Alzheimer's by the time they're 85 years old. But it doesn't have to be this way. When you have a better memory, you'll feel so good about how easy it is to learn something new. When you remember more names and faces, you'll be more confident in every situation. My mom doesn't take 20 minutes to decide on a menu item anymore after taking Mind Boost Day and working on the action steps above. So here's the bottom line with Mind Boost Day. I created Mind Boost Day with my brother, Russell. So again, say hi, Russ. He's still our moderator on this call. When we first learned of nootropics, or smart supplements as they're known, we couldn't find a single supplement that had all the ingredients we wanted, and buying them separately was going to cost us upwards of $175 a month. Even beyond that, we couldn't find any that had the right dosages that supported the clinical trials like I talked about. We also knew that the supplement industry skimped on quality. That's when we hired a scientific team to give us exactly what we wanted: a dietary supplement that wasn't going to break the bank, had the right ingredients with the highest quality. Together, we came up with a formula that is our secret to super brain health. It's all natural and helps support your brain health, reduces the risk that you'll get dementia, and increases your memory. With my Mind Boost Day in hand, I wouldn't have to spend $175 a month on low quality supplements that weren't going to give me everything I wanted. So earlier, someone asked about stacks. So this is our stack in Mind Boost Day. We started with Bacopa monnieri. Here's why. One research study working with healthy adults aged 65 and older showed significant improvements in attention, working memory, and less anxiety and depression. More studies showed that the speed of learning, memory capacity, and increased energy levels were also greatly improved in just a 12-week period. Even more exciting is the second powerful ingredient called rhodiola rosea. Rhodiola rosea is from plants like goldenroot found in the very cold regions of the world. Researchers have found that it has a pronounced effect on mental fatigue as well as increasing overall physical ability. The strongest data came from Russia and Sweden, where they tested the fatigue of students caused by stress during final exams. Over a 20-day period, the students who took rhodiola rosea got 8.4% better grades than the students taking the placebo. And another study with night shift physicians found that taking rhodiola rosea had a clear anti-fatigue effect, in some cases as much as a 20% improvement in performance during a 24-hour shift. In addition, no negative side effects were reported in any of these cases. We also added the active P5P form of vitamin B6. You see, my mom recently has been in the Recode program put on by Dr. Dale Bredesen to help her reverse the signs of dementia she's showing. She cared for her boyfriend for a very intense year when he was just riddled with cancer throughout his body, and then he finally passed. grief is a very terrible thing for your memory. My mom was shown to have very high levels of homocysteine, and this directly affects the hippocampus. A group of experts reviewed literature evidence from the last 20 years, and they concluded that elevated plasma total homocysteine is a modifiable risk, meaning it is a risk factor for the development of cognitive decline, dementia, and Alzheimer's disease in older persons. High levels of homocysteine have been linked to memory loss and Alzheimer's disease. The active P5P form of B6 brings down those levels, said Emily Amos from the Amos Institute. We also included a proprietary blend of vitamin B12 that I talked about before and folate, not folic acid. Folic acid is a synthesized form. Folate is the natural form from food and is much more easily absorbed. It has been shown to increase cognitive function and reduce the risk and rate of brain shrinkage. A recent study from Oxford University showed that over a 2-year period, people had 53% less brain decay, and that's in just 2 years. And finally, we put vitamin D3 in our Mind Boost Day. Over 50% of people over 65 are vitamin D deficient. Receptors for vitamin D are found throughout your brain and play a critical role in making memories. A team of researchers at Tufts University in Boston analyzed vitamin D blood levels in over 1,000 people over the age of 65, and they wanted to determine its relationship to cognitive function. Out of the 1,000 people, 65% had insufficient or deficient levels of vitamin D. These people performed worse on tests of executive function, attention, and processing speed compared with those who had optimal, and that's key, optimal levels of vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiency is also associated with low mood and worse cognitive performance in older adults. We even did our own small study on computer programmers. We partnered with the owner of a software maker, Zenman, out of Denver, and he already had an extensive data on each programmer's performance. After taking the Mind Boost Day, each programmer's output increased by a minimum of 5% and a maximum of 20% over just 30 days. Here's what Keith, the owner of Zenman, said about Mind Boost Day. We measure our productivity literally down to the second, just like a law firm, because we bill between $125 and $300 an hour for our time. In all honesty, moving the needle 5% in productivity might mean $500,000. So every percent is pretty significant. I was very optimistic at the onset of this project that it would increase everyone's productivity. I was actually surprised that 100% of the participants that took Simple Smart Science supplements actually had an increase in productivity, 100%. That increase in productivity ranged between 5 and 20%, and there wasn't this caffeine rush like I just drank a giant Red Bull. It was something that just seemed like taking my multivitamin every day. It was part of my habit, and I didn't feel a significant change. But when you look at the numbers and the productivity, there was a significant change. With the help of this potent blend of scientifically proven memory-boosting ingredients, your brain may be able to function more effectively, clearing a path for your thoughts and fighting against the brain shrinkage. So what does this mean for you? You can repair some of the past damage, you can help improve your memory today, and you can help prevent future dementia. And of course, we used the right dosages and manufactured in facilities that follow the current good manufacturer practices set by the United States Food and Drug Administration. I know why the supplement industry skips on quality. It's very expensive, but we don't care about the money. We care about fixing people's memories. We both have been there. My brother had a heart attack just a few years ago, and the prescription drugs wreaked havoc on his memory. He's come miles from where he was not but 2 years ago. It is approved for vegetarians, and it's gluten-free, even in the capsules. Mind Boost Day contains no fillers, artificial flavors, or preservatives, and there are no stimulants in it like caffeine. So let's really talk about that real quick. Everyone expects to feel something when they take something, but in reality, it's very hard to feel your memory getting better. Just like when you take calcium, you can't feel your bones getting stronger, but they are. That's why we give you tests. Just like with calcium, they can measure your bone density and make sure the calcium is working. We give you tests to make sure your Mind Boost Day is working, because if it's not, we don't want you to waste your money. But we like to say that Mind Boost Day gives you the results without the jitters. So you can help pause and even help reverse some of the effects of aging with the right ingredients at the right doses. And that's exactly what we've created with Mind Boost Day. One customer wrote this to me recently. I'm not one to resort to pill for answers. Kind of like me, they do more harm than good. I took a chance with Mind Boost for its naturalness, and I've not had one side effect. I've had no negatives whatsoever. It has all been very positive. I cannot thank you enough for the improvements I am experiencing. I am taking them for life. I do feel like you have given me a new lease on life, one to be lived to the fullest. We normally retail Mind Boost Day for $69.95 for a 1-month supply. But for those of you on this workshop who have stuck with me for the last hour or so, I know you're serious about fixing your memory. So I want to offer it to you today for only $39. You'll get a full 30-day supply of Mind Boost Day that will start to repair the damage to your memory. You'll get the tools to measure your memory success so you can see the difference in writing. Actually, my brother hates it when I do this, but if you order 4 bottles using the button below, you'll get them for only $27.30 a bottle. That's less than 91 cents a day, way less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, which is not a stable source of energy. Heck, I'll even throw in free domestic US shipping just for being on this webinar. And I'll guarantee your order. Here's my promise to you. Order with this special offer that you only get with this webinar. And if you try your full order of Mind Boost Day and your memory tests haven't improved, I'll give you 100% of your money back for up to 120 days guaranteed. And with every order today of Mind Boost Day, just for being in this workshop, we're going to give you our Memory Master Series program. Over 10 days, I'll take you through this video series masterclass, where I'm going to share with you some of my most powerful strategies for overcoming memory issues. In the Memory Master Series program, you'll learn completely new techniques to improving your memory today. This isn't about preventing dementia, although these techniques may help do that too. It's about being as sharp as a tack today. It's about learning what to do in those moments that you really need to remember something on the spot. What you need to do when you lost something. What to do when you can't remember a name of someone that's approaching you and you know their name. It's somewhere in there, right? The Memory Mastery Series will show you in a few fun and simple videos how to do all that and more. And you'll get printable action plans to implement each step. And if you take your Mind Boost Day and follow the Memory Master Series program, I guarantee your memory and overall health will be better 30 days from now. We normally sell this program alone for $49, but it's yours free today with your order. You see, our mission is to help 1 million people improve their memories. And so we do everything in our power, including giving you 100% of our knowledge just to do so. Mind Boost Day is the backup cleaning crew to make sure all those roads are clean so your thoughts and memories can move fast to give you better cognition. If Mind Boost Day doesn't clear your memory fog, if it doesn't take you by the hand step by step to end those embarrassing moments of forgetfulness, or if it fails to help you be confident in your memory, then understand that you will receive a full refund, no questions asked. But we went on back order 3 times last year with this offer. And unfortunately, it takes us almost 2 months to get more inventory in. So I recommend being one of the first to order to make sure there is enough. I'll even give you a copy of our Better Sleep Report. That report digs even deeper in how to solve your problems with sleep. Usually we sell this for $37, but I want to give it to you today as well with your order just for being on this workshop. As you can see, all the risk is squarely on my shoulders. So here's how to order right now. Click on the Boost My Memory button to the right now, and then enter the coupon code MEMORY. This is going to save an additional 10% on your order today. And this is good for the next 2 hours only. So don't forget that with every order, you'll get your supply of Mind Boost Day shipped out the same business day or the next business day if after 1 Eastern Standard Time, free domestic shipping, a copy of our Better Sleep Report, a $37 value, and our Memory Mastery Series program, which totals $179 in bonuses for free when you order through this workshop today. So click on the Yes, I want to boost my memory button now. And don't forget to use the coupon code MEMORY in the next 2 hours to save 10% on your complete order today. And remember, every minute you wait is another brain cell that commits suicide and another memory forgotten. So don't wait. Thank you so much for your time today. This has been so much fun for me. I love the interactions. If you have any other questions, let us know, and all the best of luck to you. Thank you.